Welcome to Nature Moments with Mr. Will. And I'm Mr. Will, and it's so good to see you once again. We are going to do something really cool today. We're not going to stay in this woods too much longer. We're going to zip over and see Katie Kale's garden. So we're going to see a garden, we're going to touch the soil, and we are going to meet Wendy the Wormy, who's going to give us a little kind of an interview, question and answer with Katie Kale. We're going to learn about her garden, her secret techniques, and some of her nutty things that she likes to do. This will be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about this one. So let's not waste any more time. Let's zip on over to Katie Kale's garden. All right.
Hi, I'm Katie Kale. Welcome to the garden. I love how this one smells. Ooh, I think I have a friend down here. Worm?
Oh, hi. I am Wendy Worm. I live here. Who are you?
I'm Katie Kale. That's so perfect. What do you think about this rain we're getting, Wendy the Worm?
I love the rain. Oh, it makes the soil real nice and soft.
I love rain too, because then I don't have to water the garden. It's nice when the sky does it for me.
Hey, I live here, but, well, I mean, what is this place to you? What's it all about?
Right now you're kind of in the herb garden, and then there's like this kind of flower and mixed vegetable garden over here. And then if you go all the way to our backyard, it's where we really have the vegetable production going on.
A garden.
Hey, let's go on a tour.
Yay! I am a worm. I am going as fast as I can.
Oh, Wormy, you're finally here. Man, you really do crawl. Wendy, have you ever seen a cabbage? Look at this pretty little baby. Somebody, a silly little slug, has been chewing holes in this though, which is kind of a bummer. I want it to be people food, but the bugs think it's their food too.
Oh, how long have you been growing that cabbage?
So I started this cabbage sometime in the spring, like early spring. I might have put it in the ground in like late February or early March. So that's why it's about ready now. All of my crops in the cabbage family, now that it's getting hot, are close to being ready to get out of the garden.
This is great. What else can you show me?
So Wendy, these are my tomatoes. And I really love tomatoes because it's just one of my favorite foods to eat ever since I was a kid. And I really love getting to eat them like still warm from the sun in the summer. Right now my tomatoes are still green. I think this one's like really impressive. So I do a lot of pruning my tomatoes so they don't get too bushy. And that means I do what you call sucker them. And so I take little branches out of their little armpit.
Hey, I didn't know tomato plants had armpits. I wonder what it's like to have arms.
So they don't keep growing more branches, and they can send more of their energy to the fruit. So you can see like right here, this is a really low branch, and has like just become full of fruit here. And I think it's doing so well because it's like the first branch that is coming off the plant, so it's just able to get a bunch of nutrients and water right from the ground. So I like to plant some things together. So I gave these tomatoes some herbs to be with. So there's some parsley here. There's a marigold over there. And then like these tomatoes back here have basil and oregano with them. And there's actually some celery hiding here in the inside. So I try to like do some interplanting and like make sure there's lots of nice fragrant things around the tomatoes and other things that'll flower and attract the pollinators to my tomato plants. Yeah.
Oh. Are the flowers here to make everything real pretty? Be more colorful?
Kind of. It's really nice to like mix up your vegetables and your flowers, just for like the look of it, or like the aesthetics was what I would say. I would say the aesthetics can just be really nice. Yeah, like so people look at your garden and they can see the beauty from far away, but just the same way that like if you were across the field and you could see like the bright orange marigolds back here, the pollinators, mainly our pollinating insects, also are seeing from really far away things that flower. And so like these tomatoes have little tiny flowers on them, but those marigolds have like much bigger flowers, so pollinators can see them from far away. So they have a purpose. I really like them, but I really plant them because they help attract the insects to the garden.
Oh, show me more. Show me more, please.
Well, I've got, I showed you the cabbage. I've got squash coming over here. Sometimes I do really crazy things like not pick my carrots. Do you want to see what happens?
What is that? That's a carrot? Ah!
So Wendy, I could have eaten these carrots like back in the fall, and I just kind of left them here. And then this spring, they just bolted, and what happened is that they started to flower. Carrots are a biennial, so maybe I planted them even longer ago because they're supposed to flower in like their second year, but maybe it was enough of like it's their second season. I don't know. I hope that's informative. Anyway, but because I left these carrots and I did not pick them, they went on to continue their life cycle. And so all plants want to reproduce, and so plants make seeds to reproduce. So because I left these carrots in the ground, they thought like, oh great, I can help make more carrots for the whole world to have carrots. And so these carrots made these beautiful flowers. And so I'm not gonna eat them because now like those carrots aren't gonna be very good. They're not, they're gonna be all dried and cracked and being a good root for these flowers, but they're not good for me to eat anymore. So now I can just enjoy seeing them, and they get pollinators on them too.
Pollinator? Huh. What's a pollinator?
Oh, a pollinator is an insect or an animal that comes and pollinates, and why that's important is for making new seeds. So flowers have a couple of different parts inside. So they have like a little embryo which can become a seed, but that can't become a seed unless pollen from another flower can enter that embryo, and then it can turn into a seed. So what happens is that the insects, or sometimes hummingbirds or butterflies, and sometimes this just happens with the wind without the help of pollinators, but oftentimes it's insects flying around from flower to flower, and what happens is they get pollen stuck on their bodies, and then they go and visit another flower, and that helps deposit pollen at a flower, and then it has to find its way down the pistil into the ovary, and it can create a seed.
Oh. Well, what about me? What do I do? Do I help make the garden grow?
You're a decomposer, so you have a purpose in this garden too. So your purpose isn't pollinating like the flying insects. Your purpose is to help decompose like organic matter in the soil. So what happens is like there's all these minerals in the soil, and the plants need the minerals, but we need life in that soil to be able to make those nutrients available. So really you eat a bunch of stuff and you poop, and that helps the plants be able to access those nutrients and minerals. It's like your dining room and your bathroom. Do you want to see the compost pile?
Yay!
So this is one of those rules that I break. I like to let weeds grow, just in the right part of the garden. This is pokeweed, and so it does kind of pop up all over the place, and I'll pull it out if it's in the way of my vegetables or my flowers over there. But back here by my compost, I let the pokeweed just go wild. It's a native plant, and it's a really good pollinator plant. And then it also, these flowers will all turn into berries that the birds can eat, which is really cool. So underneath my pokeweed plant, you can see my compost, and I've got a few of your friends down here, Wendy. So this is where I put all my food scraps. You can kind of see some eggshells still in here, but you can see worms. Can you see those, Wendy? Really long, skinny worms.
Oh, I know that worm. That's Wimble. Hi, Wimble. Hi, Wimble. Be careful with Wimble. Careful. That's Wimble.
So all of this compost were like food scraps from the kitchen or like old plants from the garden, some leaves, because you have to make sure there's lots of carbon and nitrogen in the soil, in the compost. But these little guys are so helpful in turning this into nice broken down organic matter that can fertilize the soil. Because the thing about growing vegetable plants is that they need a lot of nutrients, so you have to add things like compost to your soil so that I can grow really good vegetables.
Wow. How many other worms are down there?
Oh, I would say there's probably 5,000, something like that. So I do turn this once in a while just so that the worms can get access to like some pieces of organic matter that they might not have reached yet. Kind of stir it up gently. So you want to see a creepy one? So sometimes I'm a little bit of a lazy composter, and I'm not always tending it the right way, but if you're not in a rush, you can just be a lazy composter. And since I wanted this one to keep cooking, I had to stop adding things to it. So I started adding things to this bin. And this one is full of a lot of bugs. And you can see like I didn't finish eating that purple cabbage. And those carrots got soft, so they came in here.
That looks yummy. So yummy. Oh, yum, 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 yum.
You know, for a worm like you, it would be delicious. Wendy, this is some of my kale, my namesake here. It's got these beautiful purple stems. I do really love how beautiful vegetables can be. We've got some lettuce here. I think they call this variety deer tongue lettuce because like it kind of looks like a deer tongue. Over here I also have some tulsi, which is like it's a type of basil. It's really sweet smelling. You can make tea out of it, which is nice. Over here, looks like maybe it was gonna be like a broccoli rabe or something. It started to bolt. A lot of stuff in the cabbage family, when it starts getting warm, it's like, oh, I need to hurry up and finish my life cycle. So it shoots up its flowers, and then you can see when the flowers are all done, you end up with their little seed pods.
I'm always way down here. What else can you show me that might be different? Something I haven't seen before.
Ooh, I have some squash that's starting to form. I think you would really like it. Let's go over there.
Wow, that squash plant is big.
It's so adorable, isn't it? Oh, a squash like this is especially good for roasting. Yeah, so this kind of squash I think I would kind of cut in half and roast. But like zucchini squash and like yellow summer squash, I usually slice those, saute them, put them in an omelet, put them in tacos. I also found another snack. It's a snap pea, so I was gonna eat this because it's really good and sweet.
You like the way it tastes? Does it taste like soil? Ooh, I love soil.
So Wendy, this is one of my favorite things in the garden. It's marshmallow. It's got these velvety leaves and stems, these really cool flowers here. So it is a mallow. It's related to a bunch of other things that have flowers like this. But this plant's really cool because you can harvest the root and make your tea like really sweet. You can use the leaves too. But I'm kind of a nutty gardener and I never harvested the root. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. So plants that come back every year are called perennials, and I am working on incorporating more of them into my garden so that there can always be life here in the garden, and then I can just kind of come in and fill spaces with my annual vegetable crops. And annual, like the word annual, right, is like once a year, right? So annual crops you have to plant every year. So most of my vegetables, like the squash and the cabbage I showed you, the tomatoes, I have to replant them every year. But this really cool marshmallow keeps coming back in my garden every year.
So you're a nutty gardener?
I'm definitely a nutty gardener. I break rules.
You're a nutty gardener? Well, I know a nutty joke. Okay, do you know this one? How do you catch a squirrel? You climb up a tree and act like a nut. Ooh, I got more. Hey, did you hear about the cashew that went to the moon? Oh yeah, he was an astronaut. I got more of these jokes. You can find all sorts of jokes about cashews, acorns, and almonds. Yep, you just need to go on the internet.
Oh yeah, and some flowers I even plant to eat, like this nasturtium. It's peppery. It tastes, it's spicy like a pepper, but kind of more like a radish. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you so much for the tour. I'm so glad I got to see the garden in so many new ways. I had no idea the garden was so big. I had no idea that it required so much thinking just to have a garden. Thank you, Katie. I'm real glad to know that I help. Bye.
Well, boys and girls, that's all the time we're going to have for this week. I hope you've had a good time. And we made it through the rainstorm, and we met Wendy the worm, and we learned a lot about gardening. Now, everybody can garden. You can garden in your kitchen, you can garden in a windowsill, you can garden in a little barrel, you can garden on your porch. You don't have to have a big garden space to do gardening. Yeah. So I encourage everyone to get outside and go out there and put your hands in the soil and plant yourself maybe a little tomato plant, or just go admire somebody's garden. Whatever you can do, just get out there and enjoy the greenery. So until next time, get outside. Take care.